Hi guys, it's Marissa. So I just wanted to come on here to share a story. I think this is something some people might be able to kind of relate to. It's kind of in regards to like holding on to anger and resentments. So back in 2016, I was actually robbed by two males. When I was in my active addiction, I was dealing. So it was actually a really violent and traumatizing situation. They did have weapons, and basically they were saying the most like heinous things you could say to a woman. I had my hair in a bun. I was like held up by my bun. So yeah, it was a traumatizing experience. That kind of stuff unfortunately does kind of come with that territory of when you involve yourself in that lifestyle. But regardless, of course, it's extremely traumatizing. So I held on to this for a long time. I was very, very angry about it. And I always wanted to seek revenge. So what had actually ended up happening is very shortly after this, I believe within the same month, the main person that kind of like orchestrated this entire thing was actually sent to prison, and he did get a lengthy sentence, and I believe it was for a bank robbery. He got 8 years. So he was gone, and well, he wasn't around anymore. He was in prison. So I really just held on to this anger for a long, long time, years, and I always thought if I see him one day, like, I'm going to seek my revenge. I can't wait for the day I bump into that person. And I just really was angry about it, rightfully so, of course. But I always just wanted to seek some sort of revenge. And I thought that that is what would make me feel better, or if I was able to confront him. So fast forward to 2019, I'm now out of prison, and I have heard that this one girl that I was in prison with is actually now dating this person that orchestrated this robbery against me. So, and by the way, he's now out of prison on parole, because it was like three years later at this point. So he had gotten out on parole. And so I was like, wow, now I kind of have some sort of connection to this person. And I had this girl on Facebook, and she was like posting pictures of them together and stuff, so I would like see. And this is also at a point, like, now I've been out of jail and I've chosen to live my life in a more positive way, so I don't have the same outlook that I did years ago. But it was just bringing back a lot of stuff, you know? And anyways, fast forward another year, now it's 2020, and I am actually moved halfway houses. So now I'm living in a more independent living situation. It was in a low barrier building, which is basically, there's a lot of people in active addiction that lived there, or low income people, or women that were fleeing like violent and abusive situations. And it wasn't just like a parole thing. There was only like 4 parole beds in the entire building. So this girl actually was in this specific building, and so was I. So she was also pregnant at this time now with this person's child. So I knew I was definitely going to see him around. And I did end up starting to see him kind of around the building, like dropping her off, or just, you know, around the area. And there was this one time I remember I had like ordered food and I went downstairs to get it, and then I was going back in the elevator, and he had to get escorted because I guess she's on parole. We weren't allowed like visitors or anything there, or like especially not male ones. We weren't allowed visitors at all, but male, like no. But they were having a child together, so I guess it was kind of an exception, but he had to be like escorted by the staff. So I was actually in the elevator with him and 2 other staff members at this point. I have no idea if he like recognized me. But yeah, so fast forward, I think it was like some weeks later, I ended up coming home, and I walked into the lobby and I saw him waiting for the elevator, and there was nobody else around. And I was like, this is my chance. I was like, I'm gonna confront him. And I was getting like all this adrenaline, of course. And so I got into the elevator with him, and as soon as the doors shut, I kind of just reverted back to somebody that I wasn't anymore. Sorry, one sec. So I just basically reverted back to somebody that I wasn't anymore. And when I was in, my active addiction and I was selling drugs and in that lifestyle, I kind of had a certain persona about me. I would act differently. So I kind of just reverted back to that person that I was and I didn't want to be anymore. And I put on my like tough girl voice and I was like, what's up? Remember me? And this guy acted all confused, like he didn't know who I was. And then he was like, oh yeah, I remember you. And then he laughed at me, laughed in my face. And you know what I realized, what I wanted out of that situation? Oh, he also shook his head at me like I was so petty. He was like, wow, like that. And so what I kind of took out of that situation is I wanted him to apologize. That's what I was seeking. That's what I wanted. And I thought that it would bring some sort of closure into my life and that I would feel better and that I could move on if I got that from him. And that's not what happened. And I feel like people are going to do you wrong in life and you're not going to get closure, and sometimes you just kind of have to leave it as is. And you don't have to forgive that person because obviously it's messed up and it's traumatizing, but you can give yourself a break and stop hanging on to so much anger because it was almost just like I was poisoning myself, I think some people can kind of relate just to holding on to anger and how it kind of affects you. And I just kind of wanted to share that story and the lesson that I kind of took out of it. So yeah, thanks for watching. And if you want to hear more, I would be happy to share. Just let me know in the comments. Thank you.